Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when I actually publish this. This is what I want to talk about right now. I'm having kind of an explosion of content, if you will, at the moment, in both written and video. There's a lot of ideas coming forward for me at the moment. So a lot of content is getting blasted out. So I thought, hey, I will talk about that today before I forget again as well, or lose the time to create the content. So, what I'm interested in knowing from you guys is mainly, this is probably aimed at women because it's the cyclical nature, but also I think this can apply to guys too. But working with that cyclical nature, not just of the female menstrual cycle, but also like with the moon cycles. So both of those are the main ones I can think of. But working with those cycles in what you do for a living. So do you use that cyclical nature and the waxing and waning of the moon, for example, or like around ovulation time? Do you use those factors in scheduling things in your business? So making websites is not traditionally a kind of feminine cyclical thing. It's quite a job where you start at the beginning, you follow a process through, and then you have the end result. And there's a lot of pushing during that time to get from A to B, and it's quite a predominantly masculine thing to do. So for me personally, in my business, if I am like building a website, that doesn't necessarily entirely fit as well into this like cyclical nature. At the times I want to kind of get to that, if I get to that point of the cycle where I need to kind of retreat and rest more, if I'm in the middle of like building a site, for example, that's not necessarily going to happen. But I think when it comes to creating content, which is a bit more out of the sphere of specifically websites, but kind of related to, that is something I find that I do on a more cyclical basis. So I'd be interested to know, like, do you follow that as well? Or do you, because I see a lot online as well, there's a lot of marketing gurus who say, if you want to create content, you've just got to be consistent, which is true, and just keep putting it out there, which is true. But at the same time, because I personally I was starting to work even more now since I've had kids, and like a cyclical nature, is that I will find times where I will make the time and space to write and sit down and create content, and it's really hard. It's like wading through mud. Whereas other times, like now, I will just have a flood of ideas and just want to sit here all day recording videos, writing blogs, and just probably create like a couple of months worth of content in one go. So I'd be interested to hear whether you work more like that, or whether you work like, you set out a specific amount of time each day or each week to create stuff, and you stick to that in a more linear way. So if you've got an online business and you've got all the online tech side of things and the kind of feminine content creating, writing, making side of things, how do we bring them together? We can actually still work, I think, in a cyclical way and use the tech side of things, the online side of business, to support that cyclical way. So again, for an example, is right now I'm creating loads of content. So this morning I've been doing written blog posts, and I've been recording a couple of videos where it's me personally or me screen sharing, and also been like transcribing audio for those videos as well. I bring in the software because I think if I output into the world the same way that I create, it's not quite going to fit, and especially not going to fit in kind of marketing theories which say you need to be out there consistently. Otherwise, I'd be having a lot of content going out through social media on my blog and everything in one go, and then probably not hear from me for a few weeks or something like that while I go within. So I think we all as women, we often have that time where we want to kind of go within, and like in content wise, that and creating wise, that might be more consuming content like reading books. So just a couple of hacks really that I use personally for these times when I am making loads of content, recording loads of videos in one go. A couple of hacks I've got for then putting that output out into the world in a bit more of a regular basis is basically to kind of schedule the content. So there's a couple of ways that you can schedule content. For example, if you have a WordPress website and you are writing a written blog post, you can schedule that blog post to go out. So if you find that you are on a kind of writing binge and you've written a few different blog posts, you can then schedule them to maybe put out one a week for the next month, for example. Of course, when them blog posts have been published one by one and are out into the world, then you can use your social media scheduling tools to share them. So I use Facebook's own scheduling publishing tools. And I tend to do Instagram off the cuff, so on the day type of thing. But there are scheduling tools out there you can use for Instagram. I also tend to publish to YouTube videos, which I've fairly recently started doing, but I tend to do them as and when as well. So there might be a bit of a glut there, but I've not really got like an established channel going at the moment. I've just got a couple of videos up there. So for me, I don't have to worry about that consistency like I do on Facebook and Instagram, for example. And make sure that if you do create a piece of content that's useful for people, that you like repurpose it, because then more people are going to see it and get a use out of it. So try and repurpose. Like, I'm trying to do blog posts now where I might also do like a podcast audio version, and also just recording short little helpful videos for maybe things that you would be useful for you to help with your website, and then just putting subtitles on those, getting them out there on YouTube, then sharing them on social media, and also creating little kind of social media videos of that video to put on social media, and also taking that video once it's been published on YouTube and purposing it into a specific blog post, which is then on my website directly. So yeah, let me know if you kind of follow this cyclical nature of things in your business. I'd be really interested to know how many people do, and how many people, if you want to know more about it, perhaps I can share a bit more about my own experiences and what I know so far with you guys if you're interested. I find, like, definitely if we're talking like menstrual cycles, around ovulation, that kind of period of time, I'm creating lots of content, putting things out there, doing things, and then as you go back within towards your bleed, it's more kind of resting and more consuming content. So like mainly books for me. I'm starting to get into YouTube videos a little bit, but very specific ones. I'm trying not to like just watch binge crap, because I can't be doing the binge crap, binging on YouTube videos. So I'm trying to get like thoughtful, mind-provoking ones, because then I find that's also a time when I am brewing and percolating ideas that are coming up more from my subconscious. So the odd one will kind of come up, but I'm not at a place to kind of take that idea and run with it and make it into a blog post or a video. It's some time to kind of note them all down in a journal, and maybe just brainstorm a few content ideas that I might have. But it's generally a time for percolating ideas for me. So I'd be really interested to know if like you work like that too. Let me know in the comments.